Defiler is a hard unit to get used to. Defiler takes a while to get used to, but once you start using Defilers correctly, you can just win so many games with just pure Defilers. It's insane. They're such a strong spellcaster. But yeah, you want to have Defilers for Darkstorm and Plague. But that's important. When you get a Defiler mount, the first thing you want to research is to consume, because you basically get 50 energy per Zergling you eat, which is insane. So you can just keep gaining energy like crazy. So that's a very important upgrade, because it already starts with Darkstorm. You know how Darkstorm works, right?
Isn't units under it can only take melee damage?
Yes. So it's particularly good versus Terran, but it's also quite... If your opponent has a lot of Dragoons, it's quite good. But versus Protoss, Plague is also fairly good, although it only damages their health and not their shields, but it still takes like more than 50% off of them. So but yeah, Ultralisks are really strong when they're fully upgraded, because you have the Chitinous Platis and the speed versus Protoss. Also, another thing that's very common in ZVP that's very unusual for you, because I assume you played mostly StarCraft 2, right?
Yes.
I can see it from your playstyle. Which is fine. We need more StarCraft 2 players playing Starbow, because you get like these Brood War players and they do exactly the same thing they did in Brood War, and they don't really explore the differences. But what you usually want to do when it comes to expanding pattern is you don't necessarily want to take the third base that's closest to you. Especially in the... Actually, you can just look at this right now, although this doesn't apply as well versus Terran. But let's say the Terran player was Protoss. The next expansion Teddybear wants to take is the natural base of the bottom left base. Do you know where I mean?
Yeah.
And that's because if he can defend that choke, he can get that main base for free. And defending a choke in Starbow is actually not as difficult as it was in StarCraft 2, because you have lurkers and spinecrawlers, which are incredibly strong. And just being more defensive, like defend expand kind of player in Starbow is a playstyle that's pretty strong compared to StarCraft 2. You don't always have to have more units and just be super aggressive. Although I don't know that much about StarCraft 2 anymore. I haven't played it in a while. But I remember back in Wings of Liberty, you basically almost never mained a spike crawler. You just had queens and zerglings to defend.
Yeah, you always just have queens and zerglings now.
But spike crawlers do 40 damage instead of 25.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and they have more health. They also cost a little bit more. But you can actually not many people do this or know about this, but you can't put spine crawlers in overlords here.
What?
If you root them up.
And can overlords drop creep too?
At hive tech, you don't need an upgrade, but you need a hive, or else we had some hilarious situations. That was, yeah, there are reasons we moved it to hive. Yeah. So yeah, actually you can watch Teddybear. I don't know how much Teddybear has played Zerg in Starbow though, but I think his expansion pattern at least might be similar to what I was explaining earlier. I'm not saying, like, I've seen StarCraft 2 players like play Zerg very differently from what I was describing and doing just fine with it, but if I'm to give you tips, those are the tips I know the best, because that's how I play Starbow and that's how I played Brood War. But I do know that there's been some more like creep spreading focused, more expand to whatever's closest, overwhelm your opponent with numbers kind of Zerg players that have been doing quite well. Oh, and he could sneak by here with the Zerglings. Yes, he could, but he's close enough. Very nice from Nom. But he needs to repair. Sorry, I'm just casting a little bit at the same time here. So it's kind of weird because I'm casting while I'm also talking. Also, your opponent should really have defended versus you last game. He should just pulled more workers initially, and also got another SCV to finish that supply depot, and he should have been fine. It was no reason for him to, because workers are so strong. I don't think he knew that workers are strong, especially SCVs are incredibly strong to defend versus.
Yeah, SCVs have 60 health.
Yes, and look at their attack speed. It's 0.9, which is very fast. If you look at Marines, they have 0.8. It's almost the same attack speed as a Marine, and 1 less damage. So when they are close up, they're basically a Marine with more health. It's pretty insane. It might actually be too much. We'll look at it, because we've been seeing a lot of SCV pulls lately. And we don't want, like, some 10-minute Mark 2 base SCV pull rush finisher to be like the metagame. That's pretty stupid. So we'll have a look at it. But on the other hand, this worker change we did really helps. You know, Starbow is all about the defender's advantage compared to StarCraft 2. I know there's a defender's advantage in StarCraft 2, but it's minimal compared to Starbow. You have a really strong defender's advantage here, and I really like that about the game. Like I really like one thing I really like about an RTS game is you can take a base, and if you can keep that base for like 4 minutes and get your defenses set up, you know that base is safe from anything until it gets into the late game, for example, and it gets this tech. And just having that knowledge that this base is secure now is really comforting, and I really like that. And if you at the same time have a game where just taking multiple expansions is always rewarded, you can do that. Because if you only need 3 expansions to max out, then that would be retarded. But since in Starbow, because of the mining system, you can have like 8 or 9 bases and you're still making money by expanding, then that system works.
Yeah.
It's a lot of boring.
Yeah, I don't think I ever maxed out in that game.
Yeah, right? Like you can...
I don't think I got past 130 supply.
No, I remember that long game with you and Teddy. Yeah, and you like it was getting to the late game, and you're still very low in supply.
Yeah,
it's a very different game in that regard. Which again I like because it encourages a lot more skirmishes all over the map. I'm not gonna say this as comparing too much with StarCraft 2 now, because I know with Legacy of the Void a lot of these problems they had have been fixed, and it's better now. So. Alright, so lurkers out on the map. Now we also have scan. How much scan does he have? He has 1 here. And, okay, so it only has 1 scan left, so he's got to be careful. Pushing across. Oh, no, okay, so Teddybear is making a mistake here. He wants the lurkers further out because he wants his opponent to waste scan. So you want your lurkers further out. The second you see a scan, you unburrow, move back out of the scan, and you just keep doing that until he has science vessels out. But now he's like all the way back into his natural, so that's not good. Also, he's rallying from his third, which might reveal his third, so you should be a little bit careful about that. But he's taking the same third I suggested. See that?
Yeah.
you don't have to be in this call longer than you want to. Alright. So, Teddybear with some decent defense. Nom cannot push across that bridge with that many lurkers. That's just not happening. Also, Teddybear completely... I forgot to mention this, but he completely skipped mute attack. He just went straight into lurkers. And what his opponent doing is perfect counter to that. You want to get Siege Tank with Siege Tech and Irradiate with Science Missiles. That's how you deal with lurkers. It's actually technically possible, and I've seen pro players deal with lurkers with only Marines in Brood War and also in Starbow, but it's very difficult. Only Marines, Science Vessel. If you're a little bit more noobish, you want to get Siege Tech. Or not even noobish, just not super good. Anything you want to say as my sudden co-caster?
I have no idea.
Alright.
If it's a good game or not.
I'll just keep chatting, and I'm a chatterbox, so no problem. Teddybear taking his 4th. He's got that for free. He hasn't really defended his 3rd yet. I guess he hasn't. Oh, it's been scanned now, and he's getting his Spire over there, which is what you were doing as well. You took his ability Spire at an odd location as it was being
I just kind of went to the... Yeah, I hit space, goes to a base, and just fire.
It's actually not uncommon in PvZ to make a Spire a little bit earlier than you did, but more like in the mid-game, to get a small group of mutas to snipe High Templars.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It's quite effective if your opponent did not go for Corsairs early on. If you went for a group of Corsairs early on, and that group of Corsairs is still alive, you don't want to do that, of course. You want to get some Swarm Lords instead and contest that group first, potentially. So, but the Spire is actually going to complete. Nom could...
Are medics really good?
Medics are really good.
Okay.
Medics are insanely good. Yeah. You basically can't go by without them. But one...
Is there any really like required target fire on them?
What do you mean?
Like, do you need to target fire them? Or is it not like
No, it does it automatically.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
No, that would be horrible. It
Yeah.
didn't even do that in Brood War. But it does have optical flare, which removes detection and blinds a unit for 35 seconds, which is quite nice. It's nice to use like versus Reaver drop or something. Although you don't usually make medics versus Terran. I mean, pro. Oh, I like this little Zergling being annoying here, delaying this expansion. Very nice from Teddybear. Also, another upgrade for Zerg that's been underused and is quite good is burrow. Just burrow some zerglings here and there. I've been able to like burrow a bunch of zerglings on the ramp and then kill the first push really easily and just counterattack with tons of zerglings and almost take the game from there. So
nice.
Nom is moving out with his science vessels. He's gonna try and get some irradiate. Now, unfortunately for Teddybear, he has not made any scourges. You really want to have scourges to contest these science vessels.
Yeah, he does.
Just a second. What? Yeah, streaming this is what Kan vi ta det på en cast? Kan vi bare ta den med? Det kommer sikkert andre skal. Jo, du sier det hver gang. Kan vi snakke om det? Alright, I'm back. Sorry about the Norwegian interruption. So, he actually made it all the way into the base there. Killed a lot on the way. Quite impressive. He really wants to get the Defiler mount if he wants to target anything, but I think he's just accepted that the Scoop Marines are dead now. Fairly useless. Meanwhile, if you look at Teddybear's third, this is important. That spine line is vital. If you can get... Actually, what you can do in Starbow, if you burrow lurkers first, you can burrow spine crawlers on top of the lurkers, so the lurkers are under the spine crawler. The lurkers don't take physical space while burrowed.
That's weird.
Yes, it is. But most things that are weird in Starbow, except for dropping spine crawlers, is because you could also do that in Brood War and people were nostalgic and be like, why can't you do that in Starbow? And we didn't really have a good answer, so we just threw it in there. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, he might have an eraser here coming on. Eraser is that you put irradiate on your science vessels. No, crap. Yeah, you can irradiate your own science vessel and then just patrol back and forth over the mineral line. But he's gonna use it to be aggressive instead. Oh, here comes the Scourges! Gets 2 science vessels, 2.5 science vessels. Very nice. There. That's how you want to use your Scourges, to keep the science vessel number low. If you're a Zerg player versus Terran, if he has like 10 or 12 science vessels, you're basically dead. He can just almost always irradiate anything, any big unit you throw at him. And you can't just make Zerglings and win, so it's horrible. You want to keep the science vessel number low. If science vessel counts go out of hand, I think Swarm Lords are better than Scourges. But Scourges are nice just to pick off one after one by one, like he's doing now. But you can get some lucky clouds with the Swarm Lords, and maybe that's like, you have to kind of gamble. Okay, here comes the Defilers, here comes the Dark Swarm, probably. He doesn't have Plague yet, so he's gonna be Dark Swarm. But this place is completely undefended, so Nomisking could just stim past and lock himself into the base. No, he's actually, he was gonna push out and didn't know the attack was here, so now he's gonna have to use this Dark Swarm defensively, but he's losing the Defilers, he's losing both of them, and the Dark Swarm is not in a very optimal position. Now these 3 lurkers are, you know, defended from basically anything except for irradiate, but all these Marines can just push into the main base, but they don't know about it. They think there's a ton of defenses there, but there's not. There's only 3 spine crawlers. Now he sees it now, he scans and sees there's something there, and no, he still wants to kill the lurkers first, which he does quite easily. Is that a merc? No, yo, that is a merc. No, that's a fire bat. Never mind. Mercs are not really that good versus Zerg. They do decently versus Ultralisks, though. They're more anti-armored, and Zerg doesn't have a lot of armored ground units. Or units. So so Teddybear's end goal now is to keep as many expansions as possible, defend them as well as possible, and work towards Ultralisk Defiler crackling combo. Does he have cracklings? No. And he could have. He has Hive, so he could upgrade that. No, he has upgraded that. I'm just retarded.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Yes, he did, because the attack speed
is insane.
Weapon speed is 0.35 and it's yellow, which means it's been upgraded. Yes, okay, I'm just retarded. Alright. So yeah, he has cracklings. Oh man, that's a ton of bio units. Oh, okay, yeah, I like this. This is how you connect. You see the Nidus Swarm now?
Yeah.
Nidus Swarms can only spawn on creeps. They're more defensive than aggressive. But this is nice because you have these big maps with the big, you know, with the disjoint creep, so this is a good way to defend several locations at once. Oh, he needs to be careful. Well, he can kill a ton of dropships, but they were sadly empty. But that's not a lot of lurkers versus a whole bunch of bio. Now, finally, the Ultralisk Cavern is coming, but Teddybear, he's doing the right things, but he's not doing them at optimal timings. And he's also not harassing as much as he could. He could send out small groups of Zerglings here and there. Oh, this is unpenetrable defense, basically. Well, you can irradiate most of it, but Dark Swarm with lurkers under them, you can't really do anything. And Siege Tank does splash damage, kind of, on the Dark Swarm. It's a little bit complicated how it works, but it can deal damage on the Dark Swarm. So Siege Tanks are still a decent counter. Oh, what? What just happened with the pictures on that? Now, I like this drop here. Drop play is really strong now because of how positional defensive Teddybear is now. So drop play will be very strong. Especially if he can pick off this Nidus Worm before it spews out any units. And he's gonna find his way between every single Overlord here. That's very lucky. Oh, no, he's gonna get spotted right here, but it might have been too late. I don't know if Teddybear is responding to this. He's very busy defending his main base with too many defilers. Man, you don't need 6 defilers. It's a very specialized unit. But here's a huge drop. If he stims and go, he can kill a couple of bases there, actually. There we go. He's gonna get the Nidus Worm. He is gonna get Nidus Worm. He's way too fragile. Falls down instantly. And the hatchery is... That's a lot of very well upgraded Marines. He's doing tons of damage. And Teddybear is just gonna have to say this base is dead and just try and go over to counter and kill his opponent. But he doesn't have an army to do so. He only has... He has mostly defilers, which... Not very good by themselves. They need, you know, other units to come with them. And he actually just pulled out of there. Was there a lot of Oh, I guess it was an Ultralisk coming. But one Ultralisk is not the same in Starbow as it is in Brood War. Sure, they have a lot of extra armor, but they only have 400 HP. And they don't deal splash damage, so... Marines can deal with Ultras here. They're just very good in combination with Zerglings, because it helps the Zerglings connect when they target the Ultras. Because the Ultras have so much HP. And this is... Are you still with me, Cybercat?
Yes.
Seeing something interesting from Nom here, and it's correct what he's doing. He's transitioning into tons of factories. You see that? And he's getting Spider Mines. Yep. And Spider Mine late game is really good versus Lurker and Ultra. So that's why he's doing that. Opening mech versus Zerg can work, but it's more difficult. But transitioning into mech from this position is much easier. Oh, but this push is really strong. He's got a lot of stuff irradiated, but the Dark Swarm is pushing him further back. I like that Nom was further out on the map, so the Dark Swarm is not in the optimal places. He needs to get more Dark Swarm. Oh, but he loses another... Oh, he loses so many Defilers because he didn't have enough Scourgers to deal with that. Look at that many Science Vessels. You can't really... We have 10 Science Vessels now. This is just not gonna work from Teddybear. Look at the supply, too. This is just... No. I don't think Teddybear can get out of this. Nom has expansions everywhere. And, no, it's rebuilding that Nidus Worm on the creep that's left. Well, it's the easiest base for him to take. He also has a top-middle base that is just untouched since he built it. He hasn't made any defenses or workers to mine from there. And this is just a very small group of Ultralisks. He can't really do much with it. Here comes a tons of vultures. They need almost have speed. It's going to put up a ton of spider mines. Now, the worst thing that can happen now is these spider mines detonating on the Marines, which could technically happen, but it's much easier to Zealot drag than to Zergling drag because Zealots are more resilient. Oh, but gonna lose some. Gotta be careful. No, spider mines get killed before they detonate. But I like this. He's putting a minefield over here, and then he's gonna go south. That's very, very nice. He could have gotten the minefields a little bit, you know, closer towards the reinforcement route from the main base, but I like the idea. The idea is excellent. Oh, he's putting the spider mines over there. Very nice. Oh, but he's very careful. Maxed out. His opponent's on his hind legs, but he's still being incredibly careful. He's got the vultures in there though. He may be able to get one spider mine off on the Hydralisk, but there's an Overlord here to spot them. And he's filled up the Nidus Worm as well, so he didn't really need it though, because these Hydras. Oh, but the spider mine pops though as all the units go out of the Nidus Worm. That's hilarious. Wow, kills tons of Hydras here. So yeah, this forces Teddybear to make some Hydras to deal with the vultures, which is not optimal versus the rest of the composition. So yeah, sometimes you just clear spider mines by sending one and one Zergling over them because it's almost easier. Yeah, this base is gonna go down, but it was just a novelty base. Oh, we got a ton of vultures here. They could actually try and sneak past there and go into the main base. It's not that many spine crawlers there. And since vultures are a mineral only unit, they're also very nice for late game. They're very cheap. Meanwhile, those Zerglings are finally doing a little bit of harassment here. And Ultralisk, this is more than harassment. This is an attack, but Planetary Fortress is here, but I think he can Dark Swarm under the fortress. I think... Do they deal damage on the Dark Swarm? I try to remember if they do. They deal some splash damage, I think. Oh, but he plagued the Planetary. And he plagued the Orbital. Very nice. Plago! Oh, but here comes the fleet of Science Vessels and ruining all the fun. Oh, he's gonna get another plague now. He really wants to kill this. And I think the Planetary will go down. It will. Very nice. But I don't think it was worth it losing that many Ultralisks. He basically has no army left. And his opponent has a huge army. Oh, he got a plague off of all the Science Vessels. Alright, if you're seeing this, Cybercat, all you need now is one Mutalisk. And one shot will kill 3 Science Vessels at a time. It's pretty sick. Okay, Plague, he needs to get a Plague. He needs to get a Plague. Plague. No, he doesn't get the Plague. Okay, here comes the Plague. No, he doesn't. What is he doing with his defilers? He's just losing them, which is horrible. So now he's just gonna lose the game, I guess. Oh, here comes the Zerglings and the Scourges. But I don't think it's gonna be much of a match for his opponent. Getting some reinforcements though. Here comes the Zerglings. But there's no way he can kill this. This is way too much stuff. There's the one Mutalisk, but he should be shooting at the Science Vessels. Fortunately. And I think this is it for Teddybear. Now, Teddybear has his famous GG timing. Teddybear does not like to GG until he knows 100% that he's actually dead, so this game is probably going to last for a little bit longer. See if that's still his case, or if he's matured a little bit. Well, not necessarily a sign of immaturity, though. That's kind of what he does. Oh, nice. Got some kills from that Scourge. But not enough to win the game. There's spider mines all over the place too. He has one defiler now. He can get Dark Swarm on the ramp. That would help. Okay, he's getting Dark Swarm up. There we go. Now these Zerglings can't, these Marines are just gonna go die. Push out from the Dark Storm, and there we go. Getting back into the Dark Storm. A young wrestler. Yeah, that fantasy GG timing from Teddybear. Yeah, Teddybear should really GG at this point. He has no minerals in his main. He has a little bit in his natural. Most of the workers in our natural are just on strike though. Okay, there we go. He has a third base that just was scanned. So yeah, he has nothing, basically. If you look at the unit count, he has 40 Zerglings, 1 Ultralisk, 14 Scourges. Where are them? He needs to use those. There we are. There they're coming. But if he's not careful, the Scourges may just suicide into the Marines. Oh, the Science Vessels are in good position to be Scourged now. There we go. He's gonna Scourge a lot of them. There we go. Gets all the Science Vessels. Nothing left. Nom needs to re-macro. He has 5,000 minerals. He's not using his barracks.
He's 6 more factories going down.
Yeah, he's just going full mech. He might as well throw in some Marines now. Like, he has so much money and he has the production facilities just sitting there. I know the style of choice now is mech, but still. Oh, he's gonna kill lurkers with it though. If Teddybear comes back from this too, that's gonna be insane.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
No, he came back versus you, but that was not as dire as this situation, although almost the same. Not saying you're bad or anything. You got him into a dire situation. Saved it. Saved it.
Yeah.
But he still has a lot of Marines and medics.
I didn't know what to go into.
Yeah, it's difficult when you have a game you're not familiar with. Especially since it's particularly difficult in that matchup because Mass Hydra is so strong. You can just stay on Mass Hydra for so long and still be fine. So it's really hard to like finally transition out of Mass Hydra versus Protoss. We had like really good players just staying on Mass Hydra the whole game. Struggling with the same thing. Alright, so he's gonna push in. He has a lot of siege tanks now, so lurkers are not that great. And if we get siege tanks shooting on the lurkers under swarm, no we don't. We could have seen how the splash works, but basically the swarm makes it so all the shots shoot at the edge of the swarm. Miss and shoot at the edge of it. So if he has anything burrowed at the edge of the swarm, he's gonna eat all the shots instead. Oh, but now he's gonna eat, nope, not gonna eat Spider-Man shots. Lurkers are very good. Okay, so there's only one. Oh crap, the siege tank isn't shooting. Oh, the spider mine! Oh,
Ooh.
wow! There we go. GG. Nom takes the game. Very exciting game, to be honest. That was a long and interesting game. Nom doing... I was